There's a reason you're still silent when you should speak, still hesitant when the moment calls for blood, still invisible when your name should carry weight. It's not luck, it's not timing, it's fear. But not the kind you think. You've been fed a delicate lie that fear is something to overcome. They dress it up with motivation, sprinkle it with affirmations, but underneath it all, fear still owns your spine, still decides your tone, still edits your words before they leave your mouth. They told you fear is bad, that it means danger, but here's the truth no one dares whisper. Fear is not your enemy, it's your map. You only fear what holds power over you, and whatever holds power over you rules you. Every boundary you let them cross, every woman you wanted but couldn't approach, every confrontation you swallowed like poison. They weren't missed chances, they were betrayals. You betrayed yourself at the altar of fear. Now answer this. If you woke up tomorrow with no fear in your bloodstream for 24 hours, what would they see you become? Would you speak with cold precision? Would you walk into rooms like you owned the floorboards? Would you finally touch what you've always wanted to touch, claim what's been orbiting your silence? Because the man you've always wanted to be, he's already inside you. He's just been locked behind the doors fear has welded shut. You don't need courage, you need a method, a way to rewire your nervous system until fear becomes your signal to move, not freeze. To act, not rationalize, so stop asking how to kill fear. Ask how to devour it, how to consume it like fire until all that's left is smoke and silence and control. Because if you don't own your fear, someone else will use it to own you. Ask ChatGPT, you weren't born afraid. You were made that way. Your fear isn't a guardian, it's code, installed line by hands you never saw. They taught you to obey it like instinct. But it isn't instinct, it's architecture. A neural operating system built from repetition, shame, and silent punishment. First, they told you to sit still. Then they told you to raise your hand before speaking. Then they told you to fear God, failure, rejection, embarrassment, offense. And you obeyed because fear was rewarded with safety and defiance with isolation. So now, years later, you wonder why you hesitate before speaking your truth. Why your chest tightens when her eyes meet yours. Why you say it's not worth it before even making a move. It's because the system is still running, an invisible OS installed in your nervous system. And it's not protecting you, it's limiting you. The world didn't teach you fear to protect you. It taught you fear to control you. Look around, religions condition fear of damnation. Schools condition fear of failure. Corporations condition fear of being replaced. Women condition fear of not being enough. But the architects never feared what you fear. They feared you raw, unleashed, decisive. So they taught you to cage yourself. To beg for permission before breathing like a man. But what if? What if every moment of hesitation was never about danger, but programming? What if every what if in your head was planted by someone else's agenda? The girl you avoid, the conversation you dodge, the life you delay, these aren't accidents. They're symptoms, glitches, signs that you're running old software written by cowards. And here's the Machiavellian truth. Fear isn't something to escape. It's something to re-engineer. Machiavelli didn't fear the masses, he calculated their fears and used them. He didn't remove fear, he redirected it. He made it useful. You can do the same. You can strip it down. Observe the pattern, rebuild the circuit. Link fear not to paralysis, but to movement. What if the thing you avoid the most is the very lever to power you've been blind to? What if everything I avoid is the key to dominance? There it is. The crack in the system, the first glimpse of truth. Fear isn't your signal to stop. It's your instruction to begin, and once you realize that, you're no longer the product of the system, you're its hacker. Ask ChatGPT tools. There is a war inside you. One side wears a smile. It tells you to be patient, to be understanding, to wait until you're ready. It whispers soft words. Don't make waves. Play it safe. Next time. That side has kept you alive. But it has never let you live. The other side doesn't speak. It stares, it waits. It watches you rationalize your own chains. And every time you choose comfort, every time you let a moment pass you by, it dies a little more. You're standing at a fork no one sees but you. Two doors. One leads to the same scripted life. Numb days, polite smiles, a pulse, but no fire. The other leads to power, cold, sharp, earned. It doesn't promise applause. It promises clarity, silence, dominance, and the cost is everything weak inside you. Most men never even reach this moment. They run from it. They drown it in alcohol, in fake ambition, in philosophy they never apply. They read books about courage while avoiding confrontation. They talk about mindset while shrinking from discomfort. But you're here, which means the lie is starting to break. You've felt it, haven't you? That rising urge to burn the soft version of yourself, the one that flinches, the one that asks for permission, the one that edits every word until it's acceptable to the herd. You weren't made for acceptance. You were built to rule your space, to become the man that other men watch with unease, because they can't read him, can't predict him, can't control him, and yes, fear will follow you, but it won't lead. You will, because power doesn't come when fear leaves. It comes when you stare fear in the eyes and walk anyway, not brave, not reckless, but calm, certain, inevitable. Now pause right here, feel it. This is where most men stop the video. Their hand twitches. Their mind looks for an exit. Their fear reboots the program, but not you. You've seen the code, and once you see the code, you can never unsee it. So choose. Stay the man they shaped, obedient, uncertain, predictable, or become the man you were before they tamed you. You don't need motivation. You need a decision. Open the right door and walk into the fire. You've been told to face your fears, but facing isn't enough. You faced them before and still folded, still froze, still submitted. You don't need to face fear. You need to recode it systematically. Deliberately, like a tyrant rewriting a constitution not to serve the people, but to rule them. Fear is not random. It is a loop, trigger, perception, action, encoding, over and over again until you think it's your personality. A girl's eyes lock with yours, trigger. Your mind calls it danger perception. You look away, action. Relief hits reward. Now your brain learns. Avoidance equals safety. Loop complete. Pattern saved. Repeat for 10 years. Call it just not your style. But here's the reversal. Fear is not the enemy. Relief is. The coward feels relief after retreat. The tyrant feels reward only after dominance. This is how you break the loop. You reverse the reward system. You condition yourself like a weapon, not with willpower, but with emotional reinforcements that rewire your nervous system. Not logic, not words, emotion, repetition. Victory. Visualize a scenario that used to shake you, the moment before the pitch, the confrontation, her silence, and now see yourself moving through it like fog, not fearless, focused. See the world freeze for just a second as you act. As you claim, as you speak, now hold that image, lock it in your body, not your head. Breathe into it, let it sting, then replay it again and again, because what you repeat with emotion, your nervous system accepts as law. This is how tyrants are born, not from rage, from conditioning. Your body must learn that discomfort means power, that tension is not the signal to freeze, but to sharpen, to strike, to step forward. Start small, Pick one fear, one trigger, interrupt the loop. Inject motion where hesitation lives. Then reward that motion, not with comfort, with silence, with pride, with the sense that you just rewrote a line of code. Because when fear becomes the cue to act, you don't just change behavior, you change identity. Most men loop fear into paralysis. You will loop it into power, not once, every time, until your body can no longer obey fear. Because it doesn't recognize it anymore. You aren't escaping fear, you're retraining it, recasting it, reprogramming your inner tyrant to rise on command. You don't destroy fear by shouting at it. You starve it in silence. No declarations, no pep talks, just calculated exposure, in private, repeated, until it bends. This isn't therapy, it's war, and your nervous system is the battlefield. You don't need to feel brave, you need to become unaffected. The world worships false courage, loud displays, public vows, chest, beating nonsense. But real dominance doesn't broadcast, it rehearses. Elite soldiers don't become calm under fire because they're special. They simulate death until their body no longer flinches. Spies don't charm under pressure because they're fearless. They rehearse tension until it becomes a second language. And the seducer doesn't walk into a room to impress, he walks in to observe. Because power doesn't rush, it slows the room down. Start small. Look your fear in the face, not to conquer it, but to collect data. Pick one fear that limits you socially, not the loud one, the subtle one. The handshake that feels too strong. The moment before you speak in a group. The breath you hold when she looks at you like she knows something you don't. Now build your drill, not to fix it, to test it. 5 steps, simple, silent, unshared. Step 1, proximity, go where fear lives. Step 2, stillness, stay longer than your comfort. Step 3, disruption, act in contradiction to the fear. Step 4, lock it in, breathe, hold posture, own the frame. Step 5, walk away, say nothing, analyze everything. Do this once and you'll feel proud. Do this daily and you'll become unrecognizable. Because repetition carves new instinct, and instinct under pressure. That's where men separate. The weak look for comfort after action. You seek stillness during it. What does that mean in practice? It means holding eye contact a second longer than the room allows. It means speaking second, letting them fill the silence first. It means saying less and watching more. It means not needing to be understood. You're not performing, you're programming. And every time you act in silence against fear, you reclaim a piece of yourself. No one will notice at first, but they'll feel it. A shift, a presence, a disturbance in your predictability. That's the point. Let your actions whisper power. Let your evolution remain undocumented, and let fear become the ghost that watches you walk through it. Social fear is the currency of the weak, and most men spend it like beggars. They apologize before being questioned. They laugh too loudly to fill silence. They share stories not to connect, but to prevent rejection before it arrives. But here's what they don't understand. Every word you throw to avoid discomfort is a confession that you want approval, that you fear being misread, that you're trying to manage perception instead of commanding presence. You were taught that being likable is strength, but in the eyes of the powerful, predictability is submission, and the man who fears social tension can be led with a look, so invert it. Don't meet tension with comfort. Meet it with calculation. You walk into a room and instead of breaking the silence, you become it. You let others fill the space with nervous energy. You study, you measure, you wait. This alone rewrites the power dynamic. Because stillness, when everyone else performs, feels like danger. What they do, they explain themselves before you ask. They make jokes to soften their ambition. They speak in emojis hoping to be seen as safe. What you do, you speak only when your words are heavier than the silence. You don't smile unless you mean it. You say less but mean more, and suddenly, they don't know what to make of you. What if every person you met believed? You knew something they didn't. Now you are the unknown variable. And humans fear what they can't predict, not because you're dangerous, but because you might be. This is the Machiavellian art of emotional asymmetry. You don't react to their pace. You set your own. You don't explain your silence. You let them invent reasons, and that is the weapon. Let them project onto you what they fear most: unpredictability, control, detachment. And when they attempt to bait you with compliments, with questions, with subtle provocations, you respond on your terms. Never faster, never softer, only sharper, not arrogant. Just cold enough to make them question if you're playing the same game, because you're not. They're trying to be liked. You're engineering perception. They're signaling submission. You're broadcasting nothing, and in doing so, everything. Control the emotional frame, and you control the arena, not through noise, but through presence, not through explanation, but through masterful ambiguity. The less they know about you, the more they fear what you might become. Fear is not the enemy. It's just a voltage spike, adrenaline without aim, and that's what destroys most men, not the fear itself, but their failure to command it. They try to escape the current instead of learning to steer it. You feel the tremor, the heat behind your ribs, the tightness in your throat when eyes land on you, when the stakes are real, when silence demands a move. You think it means retreat. It doesn't. It means the system is armed. It means the electricity is present. It means your body is listening and it's time to speak through it, because fear is just energy. And energy obeys precision. This is the alchemy. You don't suppress the panic, you refine it. Like turning chaos into chess. Like turning rage into negotiation. Like turning a storm into a scalpel. When the nerves flood your chest, you don't run. You execute. 3 seconds. That's your dominion. First second breathe. Not shallow, not fast. One deep inhale through the nose, like you're drawing a blade across the inside of your lungs. Hold it. Exhale slow, signal sent. I'm here, I'm calm, I'm not prey. Second scan, not paranoid, not desperate. Eyes like a tactician, not a victim. You gather data. Who's weak, who's watching, who needs to be recalibrated by your presence alone. Third second move, speak, decide, with full eye contact, with no apology, with the gravity of someone who has nothing to prove and therefore everything to suggest. This is how you recode the nervous system. Not through mantras, through posture, through breath, through dominant micro. Movements in a moment most men crumble. You don't fight fear. You don't beg it to go away. You just show it who leads. Because when the body acts like a leader, the mind follows. And slowly, fear becomes your co-pilot, not your captor. The same current that drowns a man can power a city. It depends who's steering. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act like you were built for this. Because once your system sees you survive the first wave, it recalibrates. Precision becomes your ritual. Fear becomes your fuel. And the next time chaos knocks you won't flinch. You'll focus. You've been lied to. They told you to be fearless. As if fear is some glitch in the code, something to fix, erase, transcend. But fearlessness is not courage, it's emptiness. The man with no fear, he's not strong, he's blind. He walks into the fire not because he's powerful, but because he doesn't feel the heat. You've seen them, the reckless, the loud, the ones who mistake volume for control. They swing first, talk fast. Laugh at danger until danger answers, and when it does, they fold. because they were never walking with power. They were running from truth. Here's the reversal. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be precise. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the compass. It points to the place where most men break, which means it's where you must build. Every high-level operator knows this. Soldiers, CEO, seduction masters. They feel the same chemical storm you do, but they've trained to stand in it, to function in it, to smile with a gun in their face and move like it's just another Tuesday. Why? Because they didn't kill fear. They used it. Fear is a fire, wild, hot, untrustworthy, but placed in a forge it tempers steel. Your steel, when fear whispers, you don't shut it up. You listen, and then you act with it. Not faster than it. Not after it, with it. The man who waits to feel nothing before moving, waits forever, but the one who moves while his hands tremble, that man becomes a myth, because power is not the absence of fear, it's coordination inside of it. Like the sniper who breathes slow while the target shifts, like the speaker whose voice cuts clean despite the quake in his gut, like the man who locks eyes across the room and doesn't flinch, not because he's fearless, but because he's trained. A man with no fear is reckless. A man who can hear fear and still move is untouchable. This is your evolution, not to kill the noise, but to lead through it. You don't chase silence, you create signal. You don't numb the fire, you become the hand that wields it. This is why you're different, because you no longer want to kill fear. You want to own it, command it, ride it like a war horse through the gates no man dares open. Let the cowards dream of peace. You train for the storm. You no longer walk into a room. You arrive in it like a question no one knows how to answer. The old you chased noise. Now you let silence follow you like a shadow. You've stopped trying to be seen, because now they watch you without knowing why. You don't explain. You don't seek agreement. You choose, and that is what terrifies them. They can't predict a man who's burned through his fear. They can't negotiate with someone who doesn't need approval. You are no longer performing. You are calculating, observing, moving like smoke through the room while their masks collapse in your presence. You don't flinch. You don't rush. You speak in statements, not questions, because you've stopped asking for permission to exist, and they feel it, not with logic, but with nervous systems that pick up on the unsaid. The slight pause in your gaze, the way you hold eye contact 2 seconds too long, the stillness in your jaw as they ramble for comfort. You're not fearless, you're dangerous, because you've chosen your action despite fear. And that precision makes you unreadable. Others begin to shift. They adjust to your tempo. They mirror your cadence. They anticipate your approval, but you give none. You let them sit in the tension. Let them reveal themselves in their own discomfort, because now you are the variable. You are the frame they must orient to. Fearless men entertain. Controlled men rule. You've become the storm they hope won't turn in their direction. Not because you raise your voice, but because you don't have to. And here's the irony: the less you try to influence, the more the room bends to your presence. You wear mystery like armor. You let others guess, wonder, fill in blanks you never gave them. You don't smile for comfort. You smile with intent, not to please, but to signal that you saw everything and chose not to react. You've ascended beyond the need to prove anything. You no longer need to dominate the space, because you are the space. The air feels different when you enter, sharper, colder, more exact, because you are no longer the man battling fear. You are the man who forged himself from it, and now you move like winter, you speak like a blade. And every glance, every pause, every word unspoken becomes a warning. You are not the loudest threat. You are the one they never see coming. You thought you wanted strength, but strength is not added, it is peeled. Layer by layer, until there is nothing left but the cold shape of who you truly are, unflinching, unapologetic, unrecognizable. This path doesn't crown you, it strips you of your softness, of your social camouflage, of your need to be seen, heard, comforted. You stop laughing at weak jokes. You stop nodding just to keep the peace. You stop bonding over shared wounds because you no longer identify with the wound. You are the scar now, and the world doesn't know what to do with you. Your old friends vanish, not with a bang but with quiet distance. They'll say you've changed, they're right. You stopped flinching when they did. You stopped seeking what they still chase. Women will notice. They'll feel it in the pauses between your words, the way your eyes don't ask for anything, the stillness behind your smile like you're watching something deeper than them. Some will be drawn in, others will recoil. Even authority becomes uneasy around you because you no longer signal submission. You don't over-explain, you don't fidget, you don't flatter, and they don't know if you're their subordinate or their replacement. You don't belong in rooms built on comfort anymore. You haunt them. This is the tax. This is the silence you inherit when you choose command over connection. And yet, within that silence, something grows, not approval, not applause, but clarity, and in that clarity your power sharpens itself. You will lose comfort, but you will gain silence, and silence is where power sharpens its blade. So if you're still chasing community ease, belonging, turn back. Because this path doesn't give you back to the world. It gives you back to yourself, and that is the most dangerous thing of all. You didn't fix fear. You replaced the man it used to control. This isn't mindset. This isn't motivation. This is deletion. You didn't overcome. The system, you rewrote it in your image, and now it obeys you, not because the fear is gone, but because you walk with it, like a wolf walking a leash made of its own teeth. You are no longer running code, you are writing it silently, exactly, without apology, and now the air changes when you enter a room, not because you're loud, but because your silence suggests calculation, not absence. You don't blink when most do. You don't speak when most beg to be heard. You don't need the room needs to understand you, but it never will, because you are not readable, you are not logical. You are not explainable in the language of ordinary men. You are felt, not seen, and what they feel is not comfort. It's the cold recognition of something untouchable, something that does not perform, something that does not need their structure because it is the structure. You became the man who stopped negotiating with his inner chaos and started commanding it. You are not fighting the machine anymore. You are the machine now, one that bleeds when it must but never begs, one that can tremble internally and still choose stillness externally. That's not bravery, that's sovereignty. No one gave it to you. You weren't chosen, you chose yourself, and in doing so, you became the phantom behind every strong man's eyes, the question behind every leader's certainty, the figure in the dark that the weak pretend isn't real. But you are real, and you are here. The man who walks with fear, tamed beside him, becomes the night where others pretend doesn't exist.